What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the All In Show. I got a very special guest today. This guy is
Badass.
badass. That's right. He stole the words from my mouth. He is a locally owned business owner here in Pueblo, Colorado. And if you're not in tune to the Pueblo, Colorado scene, you're missing out. I don't know what to tell you. Everybody's doing stuff elsewhere, but this is where it's at here in Colorado. We have such a great community that just backs you 100% no matter what. With that being said, this is Andres Acuna, owner of Rocky Mountain Auto Pros. Go ahead and introduce yourself, buddy.
What's up, everybody? My name is Andres Acuna. 29 years old, born and raised here in Pueblo, Colorado. Graduated from East High School, and yeah,
Hell yeah. I love it.
that's about it, man.
I love that. We'll get into a little bit about the business and, kind of a backstory about that. So you're a Pueblo local, correct? Pueblo native.
Mm-hmm. Yep, born and raised here in Pueblo. Yeah, been here my whole life. Couple detours in my life, but always ended up back in Pueblo. So yeah, I mean, had to go move a couple different places, take some big risks to realize how grateful I am of Pueblo and what you can really make your life here. So yeah,
I've seen those detours you made
yeah,
on social media within your life, and I definitely want to touch on that a little more. But
for sure.
I'm also not a native from Pueblo. I was born in Springs, but I moved down here when I was 8 years old. So I kind of grew up here my whole life. I had family here, so even before I was 8 years old,
I didn't know that. Damn.
I'd always find myself coming down here to go visit my grandmother, my cousins, and spend a few months down here,
Wow,
just
I
kind of
didn't know
hanging
that.
out.
That's crazy.
So, yeah, it's definitely home. So I'm not a native, but I'm a local, and I have a very controversial topic that I want to get into because being from Pueblo, you have two sides of the story, two sides of the spectrum. I got off the phone with my friend last night, and he told me, he was like, dude, Pueblo has just gotten so much worse. And I was like, what do you mean by that? It was like just all the violence going on. I'm like, okay, you haven't lived in Pueblo for the past 5 years. Please tell me the different things that are going on in Pueblo that you're in tune with. And he named a few, but I didn't buy it because being someone who is living here in this moment, who hasn't lived outside of Pueblo ever, I'm like, you're not in tune with what's going on in Pueblo anymore. You can't say you know what's going on in Pueblo if you've lived outside of Pueblo for the past 5 years.
Yeah.
And you only see what's going on from the media and social media. So he was like, yeah, there's a lot of violence going on. I'm like, yeah, but that's what the media wants you to see. So picture this. We're a small community of 100,000 people in our population. What is the media preferably going to cover? Are they going to cover this murder homicide, this Davis mortuary that is going on? Or are they going to cover this local business that just started up with $0 in their pocket and they're trying to bring something positive to the community? Which one would you rather see? You would rather be more in tune with the bad, the whole Davis mortuary, the murder that's going on,
Yeah.
than see this whole business startup, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, people here in Pueblo, we want to see positive things, and there is so many positive things going on in this town. And when it comes to news and media, you sell what grabs the attention of people. So fear is a big thing. Just anything like I don't know. I'm sure the views would be different if someone said, "Hey, check this, check out this business. Look what they're doing. They're donating and they're creating this really good thing going on here in town, and let's stand by them." Like anything positive in Pueblo, but that doesn't get views. That's not going to sell. That's not going to get clicks. Does someone want to read that? Something positive, or do they want to see, "Holy shit, we found 300 bodies in downtown Pueblo," and not only that, but he's the corner of Pueblo too. So this is really fucked up. So I'm gonna click on that first. You know what I mean? Even though we want to see positivity and all that, but unfortunately that don't sell. That's just, I mean, it's kind of shitty to say that, but it's true. I mean, you're gonna click on something that's probably gonna scare you or trigger you over something that's going to make you happy. That's just kind of how I think the brain's wired, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with you. Would you, what would you say, with, let me put it this way. So, everybody has their opinion about Pueblo.
Mm-hmm.
What is your opinion about Pueblo?
Um, Obviously we're a really rough town, but it doesn't really bother me because I grew up rough. I grew up old school, and I grew up in the streets, and I mean not like gang stuff, but like, playing out there and with my buddies, riding bikes, fighting. Um, just I grew up in a really tough household, and my friends were always tough, and I kind of grew up that blue collar tough, vibe type thing. So that hasn't really bothered me. Um, but I love Pueblo. I mean, I had a like we talked about earlier. I've lived in Florida for a year. I've lived in Denver for 1 year, and it really just made me think about how awesome Pueblo is. You know what I mean? There's so many opportunities. It really is what you make it. People that bitch and complain about how shitty Pueblo is and this and that, and have nothing but to say, just negative things. They probably have nothing going on. You know what I mean? They go to the bars every weekend. They hang out with the same people they used to in middle school. Their friends ain't doing shit, you know. So you ain't doing shit. So you're just a negative person. You have nothing. You have no drive. You have no purpose. You're not excited about anything. You just kind of go to work and just do whatever. And there's nothing good to say about your hometown. But if you utilize your community and your connections, and you work towards something that you're passionate about, you can create an amazing life here in Pueblo. I mean, just to me, I mean, the quality of, I would say, the air, dude. Like when I went to Florida and I came back home, I was so grateful for the air here. It was crazy because in Florida, it's humid. They have a different type of pollen in the air. So I had a really hard time breathing down there. Like couldn't fucking breathe. So I came back home after things didn't work down there, and I was like, wow, I can breathe. I'm not blowing my nose. I'm not coughing. Like I was just grateful for clean air. You know what I mean? And not only that, but we're an hour and a half, 2 hours away from, we're an hour and a half from Springs, or an hour away from Springs, an hour and 45 or 2 hours away from Denver. You can go to the freaking mountains. You can go to the lakes. You can go outdoors. You can go downtown and party. Like, there's so many different things you can do here in Pueblo that I don't think people realize. They just stick to what they always done, just like going out, doing the same shit. And they don't realize how centered we are in the state and how many cool things we can do. So to me, dude, I had to go move away, try different things to realize how amazing Pueblo is. I freaking love Pueblo. I'll never leave.
People outside of Pueblo have this misconception that we're such a bad city.
Mm-hmm.
But that's per capita. Again, we have 100,000 people in our city compared to
Really?
Maybe more.
I think we had like 250,000.
I don't
Or
know.
180. I don't know.
Yeah, the last time I checked, this was a while back. It was about 100,000 plus people in our community compared to Denver and Springs, which is more than 1 million people.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I get it. Seeing the media cover this stuff about Pueblo, you're not going to see anything else going on in Pueblo besides the 10th, 19th homicide that happened in Pueblo. But being from Pueblo, you know where your place is in the community, where different people's places are in the community, what we're doing, people's mindset about the community. If you're from Pueblo, people love this town and people go hard for each other.
Yeah.
People outside of Pueblo don't know that because all they see is everything they read on social media and on the news. So
yeah, it's crazy what people outside of the community think about this town. It's fucking wild. I actually have a crazy story.
Get into it. Tell me.
Oh, I told it. I think it was on the Lasting Legacy podcast. But I was when I was living in Denver. Me and my buddy, we went to I think it was the View House. Yeah, so we went to go get a couple drinks, and there was this like older lady. She looked pretty wealthy. Like she was bust down with rings and shit, and she was single, so she was there by herself. So she scooted next to us, and she was like, sparked up a conversation, and she was like, "Where are you guys from?" And we asked her for where she was from. And she was like, "Oh, I'm from upstate New York, and I moved here, blah blah blah." And then she was like, "Where are you guys from?" And I think she lives like somewhere in Fort Collins, like just rich, never goes past probably Castle Rock. You know what I mean? Um, and I was like, "We're from Pueblo." And she was like, "Oh my God, really?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she goes, "Oh my, I don't mean to like offend you, but I didn't know people from Pueblo spoke English." And I was like, "What?" Like, like she or she said something like, "I've never met anybody from Pueblo who spoke English." I think that's what she said.
Okay.
Like anybody that she did meet from Pueblo never spoke English.
That's
Like we're all
wild.
just Mexicans. Yeah,
Hispanics, huh?
we're all just Mexicans here. Like that's crazy. So I was like, damn, that's wild to hear. Like I don't know. So I was like, damn, people really think Pueblo is just like a thing of its own.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's fucking weird,
ICE is looking in the wrong spots.
dude. We're the hub, dude.
We're the hub. Goddamn. That is a crazy story. I have something similar. I went to
Yeah.
this bar in Springs. It was the Hatch Cover, and I was talking to this girl, and I was telling her where I was from, and I was like, I'm from Pueblo. She's like, no shit, really? I'm like, yeah. She's like, do you know Pueblo was supposed to be the capital of Colorado? I'm like, no, I didn't know that. She's like, yeah, because of the steel mill. So I looked it up. Sure as shit, it was. I was like,
Yeah.
wow, that's a crazy fact that I didn't know as a Pueblo local.
Yeah, Pueblo was bigger than what, Denver and Springs at one point.
At the time, yeah, during
Back in the 60s?
I think it was before that, like back when the steel mill was
50s.
super relevant. So like the 20s all the way to like the 50s, yeah.
Yeah. Pueblo just did stop wanting to grow and didn't want to invest in its city, and people outgrew us.
Yeah,
That's just kind of the way it is.
it is crazy.
There's some conspiracies around that I don't want to get into, but
There's a lot of conspiracies going.
I think
mean,
you know what it is.
and-
I think everybody knows what it is.
yeah, I mean, we're a very heavily affiliated mafia town.
Hey, you said it.
Yeah, I'm not afraid to say it. So it's the history that is rich within Pueblo, and that's all I'll say because I don't want to get buried in the middle
reservoir.
of fucking nowhere. So, but if you're watching this and you want to speak your opinion and you have something to say, please reach out to me. Reach out to me in a positive way. I don't want to hear any threats or anything like that. I want to just live a fulfilled life. But yeah, you know who you are. We know who you are. With that being said, let's get into a little bit about you, Andres.
Okay.
So, how old were you when you got into the business of tires? Because our conversations we've had in the past, you started out working for your uncle, correct?
Yeah, so tires I never really got into, so that's what my uncle Eddie, he does. So I stick with paintless dent repair and auto detailing and also boat detailing as well. So it's a long ass story. I've been doing this for 9 years, so I'm going to try to sum it up as short but as important as possible. So long story short, I went and played college baseball after high school. Things didn't work out. I ended up coming back home. Kind of just gave up on sports. Didn't really love it anymore. I'd been playing it and super competitive my whole life with sports and baseball and football. And I was just kind of ready to hang them up. I wanted to just start my life in the workforce and just start my life. You know what I mean? So came back home. Was really lost in life. Really freaking lost. So the only thing I thought of was to go to college again, but not play sports, but go to college because that's what everybody else was doing. All your friends, people everybody, it was like if you went to college, you were like on your way to be successful. So I was like, I don't know what to do. I'm not good at anything except baseball and football. So that's no longer a thing. So I'm going to go to college and go for business because I was like, at one point, I want to own my own business. I don't know what it is, but I just know business is where the money's at. I'm definitely not smart enough to be a doctor. Can barely probably read still. I mean, I can read, but
Enough to run
I still
your
got a little
business.
stutter. You know what I mean? So I went to college. That lasted my first semester. I failed out in about 2 months. Failed and then waited for the next semester and then tried again and then failed again. So pretty much dropped out twice. After that, I I got a job over at Phil Long Ford in Colorado Springs as an auto detailer. My mom knew the owner of Phil Long Motors, Mr. Chimino, rest in peace. So she called him up and was like, "Hey, my son's fucking lost. He needs to fucking go work and make something out of his life. I'm gonna send him your way." So I went up there and had a meeting with Mr. Chimino, and he gave me a job as an auto detailer and slash, like, we called it a transporter. So I'd park cars and shit for after they got serviced, oil changes, brakes, all that good stuff, and then I would detail as well. So I would do that, and then my family member, uncle, not the one I am partners with now, but another uncle. He owned an auto hail repair business here in Pueblo. So that's kind of how I got my feet into the paintless dent repair or auto hail repair game. So I would detail cars from Monday through Friday at Phil Long, and then I would detail cars for my uncle's business on the weekends or late at night when I got back from work. So after the cars got their hail repair done, then I would detail them for him. Kind of tie the whole job together and wow the customer and all that good stuff. So I started out doing that. I ended up quitting at Phil Long because I was just getting too busy with helping my uncle, and I saw a lot of value into what he was doing, and it made me feel really good that I had a family member who was doing what I wanted to do. Didn't know about the PDR stuff yet. We'll get into that in a sec. But I just knew my uncle was doing really well. He was kicking ass. He was where I wanted to be when I get older. So I was like, I'm just going to run with this and be his right-hand man and learn everything I can and run with it. So started detailing cars for him. Then one day, he was paying me $20 a car to do, and that shit was taking me about 4 or 5 hours. So if you do the math on that, I was fucking making what, $5 an hour or something. I don't know. So I was detailing cars for him, and then one day, still lost, still partying, still being a fool. I mean, I'm still kind of a fool, a smart fool, I guess. Yeah, so I was just really lost. I was out in the bars fighting people and being a dumbass and having fun with my friends, like a young kid would do. Then it came to writing checks and stuff, and he wrote me my check. It was like $200-$300. To me, that was a lot of money. You know what I mean? I was like, oh wow, I get to go buy a 30 rack and a bottle and go hang out with my homies this weekend. You know what I mean? And then I walked away, and he was like, hey, give me a sec. Let me write these checks to these hail. We call them hail chasers or auto hail repair technicians. They go around the country and fix hail damage. So wherever the storm hit, they go in there and fix the vehicles. Kind of like, what was it? The fire thing you used to do?
Wildland firefighting.
Yeah, so kind of like something like that, but we fix cars. So wherever the fire was, that's where you went, right?
Okay.
So same thing. So I was like, all right, whatever. So he writes them their checks. And then you know how there's a copy behind the check in the memo? So I had a little $200-$300 check, and he looked, and he was like, I want you to look at this. And he was like, I know you're a little lost in life and you don't know what the fuck to do because you're not playing baseball. You're kind of like in limbo land here. So if you want something to kind of maybe intrigue you or something to work towards, if you're interested, I want to show you something. I was like, all right, whatever. So he shows me what they were making, and I was like, holy shit. So I was like, instantly, right then, right there, I was like, I am going to be a paintless dent repair or hail chaser. That's my out. You know what I mean? That was my out. That's what I was going to commit to.
Yeah.
Fuck, these guys, for 2 weeks of their time, he made 18 grand. All of them.
How many cars?
They were doing about 3 cars every 2 weeks. And that's like a not a super fast tech. That's kind of like a moderate. It depends on the damage. But yeah, they were busting cars, and every 2 weeks they'd get paid, and they were making stupid money. They were rolling up in lifted trucks, lifted Jeeps with a trailer on the back with all these tools that look fucking weird. And I was like, damn, like these guys are fucking making bank. Cause I looked at them differently. Cause they were just like people who came work for my uncle. But when I saw how much they made, I was like, Yeah, fuck everything else. Fuck school. Fuck everything. I'm going to be a PDR tech and then run with it. And he said, if you learn the trade and you get really good at it, you can be my number one guy. And I don't have to call in all these people because you'll be, you're my nephew. You live here in town and I want to give you the money rather than someone from Texas. So I was like, all right, deal. So he goes, it takes a long time though. And I was like, to learn it? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, I'll figure it out. So long story short, I learned the trade pretty well. In about 7 months, I committed to it. I got an Adderall prescription, and I just pushed dents for fun, and got as good as possible in about 7-8 months. And then the following year, I was his main guy for about a year. That's how I got into the business. And then the reason why we didn't work out, I didn't leave my uncle. I didn't like abandon him and start my own thing because I saw the money or whatever. I decided to leave because his was so seasonal. It's May through September, and you make all this money, and then you basically chill for the rest of the year, which was great. But if you don't have a good hail season, which Pueblo, it's on and off, you're gonna be broke pretty much in the winter. So that's kind of what happened with me and him was if there was no work, it was kind of like you're jobless. And I was like, well, I work for you, but after September till the following May, I have nothing to do. I have bills, you know what I mean? So I was doing like temp jobs and stuff on the side till the next following hail season. So I worked for FedEx. I worked for, I think it was called LB Foster out there by the airport. So I was taking temp jobs to help me throughout the winter to get to hail season. So things didn't really work out with me and him. He just wanted to run the business his way. It was very seasonal. It was kind of like you work for me for this time to this time and then basically kick rocks. And I was like, well, I invested all this time and energy into it. I want to be legit. I want us to be legit. You know what I mean? I wanted him to build the company up so we can have like a brick and mortar shop, offer different services. Basically, exactly what I'm doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
I would never have started Rocky Mountain Auto Pros or Rocky Mountain Dent and Detail and all these names I had if it wasn't for him. Basically, if he would have changed and did what I wanted him to do for not only for me, but for him,
Yeah.
I would have been working for him still.
Yeah. So how many years did you work for your uncle?
About a year and a half, almost 2 years. So I started out when I was like 17 and about 18 and a half. And then when I was 19, 20, I started my LLC.
Okay.
Just Googled the shit, said, how do you start an LLC, whatever. And then I just went to the Colorado Secretary of State, got my articles of organization. Then I got an EIN number. And then I started Rocky Mountain Dent Company. So I left him. He did his own thing. And I think that following year, he only did it for one more year. And then he stopped doing it.
Okay.
So I was fucked either way. You know what I mean? So I started my own business. It was fucking scary. I didn't know much. So I knew how to detail cars. I knew how to fix dents, but I didn't know the insurance paperwork
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
to go get the money. So I had to learn that through failure and a little embarrassment.
Yeah.
We can get into that. So my first year, I'm 20, we'll say 20 years old. I create this fucking business, and then I needed somewhere to go. And I was like, fuck, now I got to go lease something. So I called everywhere around, and nobody wanted to give it to me because of my age, which was, rightfully so. So Armor Storage out in Pueblo West gave me a shot. And my first shop was like $970.
And that's in Pueblo West?
That's in Pueblo West. It's not Armor Storage anymore. I think it's something else. It's on industrial.
I see. I want to get into that. So you went from working with Phil Long while working with your uncle.
Yeah.
Were you still in college while you were pursuing this, or did you drop out right before?
I dropped out before I got my job in Springs.
Okay.
So I literally lasted 4 months.
Right before you got on with Phil Long,
Yeah.
you dropped out.
Yeah.
Okay. all this time passes. You work for your uncle for about a year and a half. You
Yeah.
move to Pueblo West, get your LLC,
Mm-hmm.
and then you find a building out there to start your own empire.
Yeah.
And that's where you initially started.
That's how it started.
What was the time frame while you're out in Pueblo West, and what was the name?
So the first name was oh fuck, I've been through so many names because I've been progressing each year or every 2 years, adding different services. Now we're almost a one-stop shop. So my first name ever. So when I worked for my uncle, I had to get a business name. So I was a sole proprietor. So there's sole proprietor if you're just a single entity, I guess. I can go on for days about this, but there's sole proprietor, there's LLC, then there's partnerships, and then there's multi partnerships, all kinds of stuff. So if you just work for yourself and you're a subcontractor for somebody else, you can still own your own business. So at the age of 19 or 18 and a half, 19, I was telling everybody I owned my own business, which I did, but I was working for my uncle. So I was a subcontractor for him. And my name was called Accidents. Stupid as shit. But it was, to me, it was like, oh, my company's name Accidents.
Yeah.
Because dents happen in all different ways. You can get hit by a hailstorm. Someone can ding your car in the parking lot at the grocery store. Someone can vandalize your car. You know what I mean? So I was like, dents, Accidents. Because,
Yeah.
I thought it was catchy.
Is this the name you took with you to go to that Pueblo West location?
No, so I started Accident. I had an Accidents LLC with my uncle for about a year and a half. Then I started the same business. You can just go on the website and change your name. So I switched it from Accidents to Rocky Mountain Dent Company because no one's going to get their car repaired by someone called it fucking Accidents. Just sounds cheesy. So I was like Rocky Mountain Dent Company. So I rode with Rocky Mountain Dent Company out there in Pueblo West for, I think it was about a year and a half. And then I moved to Club Manor, which we're at now still. And there's a really good story behind that. Do you want me to tell you that?
Yeah, go into it a little bit. What's the story behind that one? Is it like I'll let you tell the story.
Yeah. So I guess this is a good story about a little bit of failure, a little bit of going through the ups and downs in business. So there's so many side streets to where I'm at now, and this is kind of one of them. Long story short, our landlord right now. So the unit that my uncle's in, the tire shop, that was the first unit I ever looked at and I wanted when I first started my business. So when I left my uncle and I wanted to get my own storage unit or business, that was the very first shop, 110. So I met with our landlord, and he did the whole age thing, and he saw who, when I pulled up, and he was like, you're the owner that wants to lease this? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, okay, I'll get back to you. I have a couple other showings. Long story short, he didn't call me back. But before I left, I kind of knew I wasn't going to get it because he was kind of doing the age, and he was just judging me.
Kind of sizing you up a little bit.
100%. And I don't blame him, because who's going to rent out a $900 unit to a 19-year-old? I wouldn't. You know what I mean? I mean, it depends. So I basically just told him, you're probably not going to give me it, because I was kind of getting frustrated at this point. I was like, you're probably not going to give me it. I kind of know what you on why, but I'll tell you what, save my name, save my number, and I'm going to call you in a year. And he goes, okay. Kind of gave me the, yeah, whatever, buddy. And I was like, all right, motherfucker. So I went to Pueblo West, hung out there for a year and a half. Did pretty good my first year in business. I was, 20 years old. And then I called him back up a year later and said, hey, remember me? It's Andres. And he was like, who is this? And I was like, you didn't say my number, did you? He goes, no. And I told him, it's me from a year and a half ago. I was like, I got a profit and loss statement for you. I see that you have another unit available. I want to meet up if you're willing to rent me out a unit. And he goes, yeah, I'll see. Let's meet me at my office. And I showed him it. And he was like, holy fuck. And I was like, yeah, I'm about this. Like, let's do this. Give me a chance. You won't regret it. And then that's how the whole journey started out on Club Manor, and then went from Rocky Mountain Dent Company to Rocky Mountain Dent and Detail, because I was only doing hail at the time. I wasn't doing detailing for about a year, 2 years. I'd say 2 years. And I was like, shit, I need to stay busy throughout the winter because I was falling through that same issue that I was when I was with my uncle. So I was like, the only other thing I'm good at is detailing. So I would detail and then also do dent repair. So I just changed my name again because not only am I a dent shop or a body shop, I'm also a detail shop. So I called it Rocky Mountain Dent and Detail. Then went through that,
Yeah.
kicked ass, did very well. And in 2022, I don't know what age I was. I'd say 23, 24. I don't know. Did really well. And then decided to move to Florida for another opportunity because I kind of got complacent here. I was like, I'm doing really fucking good. And I think there's more meaning to life than this. I think I'm better than this. I think I'm better than Pueblo. Swear to God. So, and it was perfect timing because I went through like a kind of shitty breakup with my girlfriend. So having a shitty time with the breakup, still really doing okay in business, was really happy. But there was something in me that was like, I need something more challenging. This is not good enough.
Yeah, I saw that pivotal change within the company. So you went from Pueblo West, now on Club Manor, you changed your name. You're
Yeah.
there for a significant time, and then
Yeah.
I see you on social media going down to the Northwest to do a workshop with this company called Xcoat.
Yeah.
And then you do this whole workshop with Xcoat. You
Yeah.
bring it down to Pueblo,
Yeah.
and then I see you move down to Florida.
Uh-huh.
So you're going through this breakup. You're thinking you need a change. What was different in Florida that you didn't get in here? Was there a bigger opportunity, more demand in Florida?
So the problem with that, well, I thought, I've been here my whole life, and success was, at a young age, I felt a little bit of success, and I was really happy where I was, but I always wanted more. I mean, till this day. I mean, now that I'm more mature and older, I'm kind of leveling out on what I want in life. I see things differently. But when you're young and you're ambitious, like you're like, I can do more than this. I can be bigger, better. I can move across the country and do the same thing over again. So I went with Xcoat. So I went with Xcoat. I got trained to apply the product. They saw that I was doing really well, so they gave me the opportunity. The owner said, "Hey, you're doing a really good job. You're doing a lot of cars here in Pueblo. I want you to become a travel trainer for them to show other people how to do it." And I was like, "Hell yeah. How much does it pay?" And so I was traveling down to California to train people and get paid for it. So then he was like, "Wow, like you're really taking off. Like you're really serious about this." I was like, "Yeah, like I really like your product and I'm excited to do it and whatever you else have for me." And he was like, "Well, I know you're in Pueblo and I know you have a good thing going on, but have you ever thought about moving?" And I was like, "Yeah, I have." And at this time, my sister moved to St. Petersburg, Florida. So I was like, "My sister lives in St. Petersburg, Florida." And he goes, "Well, that's good because we have nobody down there to train people from the South." He goes, the only places people can go and train is Montana and Anaheim, California. So he was like, "If you want, I'll give you the opportunity to start a shop there and I'll compensate you for it." And he showed me the compensation for it and it made sense. And who wouldn't want to be successful in paradise, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I took the bait. I believed somebody else. I believed somebody else's dream. And in the end, I got fucked. So
What were the pros and cons of that?
of the deal or the...
So, yeah, if you're saying you got fucked within the deal, how did you get screwed? But also, what was the benefit of going down there and doing this on your own?
Yeah. So I believed another guy who I didn't really know very well, but I believed him in a sense because he would pay me. You know what I mean? So how I got screwed over was I go down to Florida. I go look for a shop. I build this shop as a nice place to train people. Not only to train people for Xcoat, but do the same thing I'm doing here in Pueblo. So I would still detail cars on my own, other customers in Florida. I would do dent repair in Florida, everything the same, but we would be carrying out roughly 3 to 4 training courses a month. And I saw the numbers. It looked legit. Like we were really busy. I was flying back and forth to California like I think 4 or 5 times within 3 months, 2 months. So I was like, it makes sense. So I went down to Florida. I set up shop. I went through a couple hurricanes down in Florida, Hurricane Ian, I believe. So that put a damper on the thing. I thought I was going to lose everything. So I invested a bunch of money in this shop. Um, and then a hurricane came. We had to battle through that. And then he calls me one day and he says, "We're not going to do training anymore. Like, I'm not going to send people to your shop anymore. You're going to, I don't want to get into it because I don't remember signing an NDA,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't want to bash him.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for him.
Yeah.
He's an amazing man. It's just things change in business, and
Yeah.
I forgive him. You know what I mean? I
Absolutely.
really do. But I got fucked.
Yeah.
So he changed the business model. Long story short, basically I did all this work. I got this shop. I took all this sacrifice. I invested all this money to basically lose it all. But the lessons that I learned from going from ground zero and starting a business and being legit down in Florida and did pretty well. I mean, but I just couldn't keep up. My shop was too expensive, and battling all these hurricanes, it kind of messed up the economy down there, even though it didn't destroy us. But people don't think about getting their car detailed or getting dent repair done when there's a massive hurricane coming.
Yeah.
They're preparing to hunker down, buy food, that kind of thing. So I went through a really hard time with that in business because nobody wanted to get anything done. So I just learned a lot of lessons down in Florida, a lot about my faith and trusting God and his timing, being resilient, never giving up on myself. Because there for a second, I thought I was going to give up and get a job and just say screw business. And then I just kept battling through it, and I just started looking up success stories down in Florida. I lost everything. I sold a lot of shit on Facebook Marketplace, and decided to move back home. I just didn't know when. So there was like 2 months, 3 months of a period where I was working temp jobs now in Florida. So you go from someone that was successful in Pueblo, doing well at a young age, to now I was putting on fucking buttons in a sweatshop in Fort Myers for $10 an hour again. So it's almost like God humbled me.
Yeah.
I didn't go down there. Someone told me, fuck, I get a little emotional about this, but someone told me you didn't go down there to start another business. You went down there to find yourself. And I was like,
That's a good lesson to learn.
So I went down to Florida to humble myself. And it was a really good, humble experience, to say the least. So I wouldn't say I failed. I say I learned. But I did fail.
You learn from the failures.
I learned from the failures, and I wouldn't be where I'm at today if I didn't go do that. I think I'd be a complacent, relaxed kind of business owner that kind of just like, whatever, kind of be mediocre. But when I went to Florida, it lit such a big fire under me to be great and to not take things for granted and to appreciate my hometown and the connections that I have here. I haven't made here. And I thought things were better on the other side. And I had to go and figure it out. I had to see it through. I had to F around. I had to fuck around and find out. And I found out really good.
Sometimes the grass isn't always greener.
Oh,
on
hell
the
no.
other side.
No. And that pertains to a lot in life. Like, you got to fix where you're at here right now. Like, just because you move somewhere doesn't mean your life's going to change. And I think people will get a lot of that shit twisted. So people that can't figure themselves out here in Pueblo, they have a bad reputation. They have nothing going for themselves. So they're like, oh, I'm just going to move to Denver. And then they move to Denver and they're still not shit.
Yes.
So I'm like, you don't change as a person just by moving. You know what I mean? You're still doing the same habits. You're still hanging around with losers and shit. And you're not shit somewhere else now. Where you could have worked on yourself and been someone different and made yourself a name here in town. You know what I mean? But things change. People don't want to be here in Pueblo, and that's, that's okay. Like my sister, I don't want to say this. She doesn't hate Pueblo. The lifestyle here doesn't match her. She's a beach girl. Mm-hmm. So she moved down to Florida, and she loves it, and she's doing really well, but she wouldn't find that same happiness here in town.
That's a good point. You hit it right on the money where you said, and I feel like this is a lesson that everybody should learn if they're pursuing, finding a bigger purpose within themselves. if you think the grass is greener on the other side, you're going to get checked really quickly. I feel like you need to learn lessons and really find yourself where you're at to begin with in your hometown
Hmm.
to be able to discover the things that you didn't think you were ever going to discover.
Yeah.
To sum it all up, I think that you should find yourself where you're at and try to hone in on the
Hmm.
skills and your own character here
Hmm.
first,
Hmm.
and then explore other opportunities elsewhere, because you'll be surprised how your mindset will switch if you think about, what can I learn, what can I do here, what can I hone in your
Yeah.
spot that you're in at the moment, you
Hmm.
know? So that's a great point. And I can relate to that myself. So, just to point out, everything you see on social media with this guy, Andres, Rocky Mountain Auto Pros, is way different than the story you're actually going to hear right here. You're going to hear the raw, authentic, real version
Hmm.
of what's going on in his life. You're not going to
Yeah.
hear what's going on in social media. Social media is
Yeah.
to exploit what is going on in the business. But if you actually take time to talk with the person outside of the business, you're going to hear the real story. And that goes with me as well. Like I was saying to begin with, I got a phone call from my friend yesterday, last night, and he was telling me, hey, like the video you posted a few weeks ago doesn't necessarily align with my morals. And I'm like, that's okay. But as
Damn.
far as a social media business perspective, this is what I'm doing on a business level. You got to do things that are going to get views, get the clicks,
Hmm.
get things in front of an audience like that.
Yeah.
So it doesn't necessarily mean that's the kind of person I am outside of this. That just
Yeah.
means like I'm trying to create something that's going to expand and be able to monetize itself in the future. So it doesn't necessarily mean that that's who I am.
Yeah.
That's like me.
You're a different person outside this room, you know. You
Exactly.
have to be in character. Like, that's just how it is in business. Like,
Exactly.
I wouldn't be cussing and, you know, speaking this kind of like opinionated thing to my customers. You know, you're a
Mm-hmm.
different person. You have to be a chameleon. You know what I mean? Like, who I am in business and at the shop is a little bit different from who I am at home and with my buddies. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? And
I agree with that. A part of me believes that when it goes into a business perspective,
hmm.
and I hate to say it, but it's true in a lot of aspects. You got to fake it till you make it. You got to provide a facade, an image that the people are going to see that associate you with this. But outside of that, it's not who you are. But a big part of me does believe you got to fake it till you make it, because I feel you have to portray that image so
Hmm.
well that you end up believing in it, and you believe in it so much that
Hmm.
you're going to pursue it aggressively, and you don't believe in a plan B, you believe in that plan A. Forget about a plan B, because
Burn the
this
ships. Have you
exactly.
heard that?
I haven't.
You've never heard that?
Mhm.
Yeah, you got to burn the ships, man. I think, what uncle was it?
You got so many uncles
I
right now.
got five uncles. Fuck. So my uncle Joe, I was going through a really weird time. What was I doing? So I was stuck between. I can't remember what I was doing. I think I was stuck between going back. I went through like a little rough time in business at when my first year like alone, and a part of me wanted to go back to what was comfortable and basically run back to my uncle and my other uncle, and say, hey, I'm sorry, this didn't work out. This shit's way too hard. Like, I give up. I want to come back and work for you. So I went through a little period in time where I was like doubting myself. So I went and talked to my uncle Joe, who's always been a big mentor, just basically my dad in my life. And he basically called me a pussy. And he was like, don't be a pussy, you know? He goes, burn the ships. He goes, if you want it this bad. And he told me about the story of, I think it was the Spanish, when the Spanish came over or whatever to, take over the U.S. or
Hmm.
whatever. I think what he did was, so they traveled across the ocean, and then he told his men to burn the ships because we ain't going back. There is no plan B. There's no plan C. This is plan A. And if plan A doesn't work, well, then we die.
That's
So
great.
that got me so fired up. And I was like, you're right. He goes, stick it out. if you need help or anything like that, I always got you. Like, keep doing what you're doing. You're gonna see through it. And you're gonna be someone one day. But don't give up now. You just started. So
Yeah.
he goes, burn the fucking ships, and burning the ships was going back to what was comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, damn. So yeah, it's a great story.
Yeah, that resonates with me. I don't know about Christopher Columbus, but these Spaniards, these Spanish people,
Yeah,
they did it right. I don't know what
he's
Christopher
fucking
Columbus
gangster,
did,
dude.
but he should have probably lived by those morals and burned
Yeah,
his
I
ship.
can't remember. Yeah, I don't, it wasn't Christopher Columbus. I don't think it might have, but it was someone who conquered. I think it was the Aztecs.
Okay.
Yeah, it was when the Spanish conquered like Mexico and the Aztecs because they ruled that whole thing. So they shipped over from Spain or wherever the fuck they were from, and they said, burn all these motherfuckers. We're either gonna take over or we're gonna die. And when someone does that, like the leader says that, you're gonna probably pull through.
You're going to follow through.
It's a different meaning and purpose now. You
Yeah,
know?
that's a great quote. So you went from Florida. I saw you change your name to SoFlo Auto Pros. You came back to Pueblo, keeping that name, and then still continuing on with your business. You moved down to Pueblo West recently, and then you end up moving back to Outlook. So tell me a little bit about that time frame and that process.
So when I moved from Florida back home, I knew how to get rid of SoFlo Auto Pros because who's going to do business with someone that has a Florida name, you know? So I decided to wait on that a little bit until we launched Rocky Mountain Auto Pros in 2023. So I went back. Fuck, it's such a long story, and there's so many side streets. But before I went to Florida, I sold my business to my partner now, my Uncle Eddie. So I sold the business, Rocky Mountain Dent Detail, to my uncle, and we changed the name to a different name.
And you sold it for $200,000. Is that correct?
No, I was actually I put my business on Biz by Sell for I think 400,000.
Was that the
then-
valuation that you came up with?
That's kind of what I kind of came up with for, how much we grossed and then how much we netted, and kind of took into account all the tools and everything that I've invested in, and also where I was located, which is on Club Manor, which is right next to the dealerships and a really good part of town.
A good prime location.
Prime location. So I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna shoot high and see what happens. So that didn't really work out. I sold it to my uncle. It wasn't 200,000, but it was a lot smaller than that. But any money was cool with me because I was gonna take that down and invest into another shop.
Yeah.
So I actually sold the business to my uncle, and he kept 110. So he was in unit 160. So I had unit 160 and one something. I can't remember. It's where JDC Auto Glass is now. I don't know if you've been there, but he has those two shops. Those were mine. And then I went to Florida, sold the business to my uncle Eddie. They moved him down to unit 110 when I was in Florida. Okay, so we come back. We do all of 2023 in unit 110. And then I leased out some space from Discount Motors over there where their old dealership was. So I was doing hail cars out of there. Eddie was doing tires in unit 110. So I got Eddie, we thought it was a good idea for him to resign from Peerless Tire. So he worked for Peerless Tire for 25 years.
Okay.
So he was never part of the business at all whatsoever. But in 2023, he quit his job as a divisional manager with Peerless Tire because Peerless Tire was selling everything to another company. So he was scared of where he was going to fall within that new transition, whether he's going to keep his job, someone's going to come out and take his spot, a pay cut. So he was like, I just want to do my own thing. And I was like, let's team up together. So we ran through that, and we had 110, and then I was leasing space from Discount Motors, and then that opportunity kind of dried up because they were moving and stuff, and it wasn't my space, it was their space, so I had to do what they kind of had to say. So long story short, after that, I got that spot out in Pueblo West, that big ass building off of Industrial. So all the detailing and dent repair happened out of Pueblo West, and Eddie was still here in town doing tires. So same company, different locations. So we rolled that out, and then as of recent in 2024, 2024, Unit 170 opened up on Club Manor. So now we're here. I'm at Unit 170. Eddie's at 110. People who need tires and custom wheels, they go to 110. Whoever needs detailing and dent repair, they go to 170.
Nice.
And then we're just rocking it out, and yeah.
Yeah, that's a big transition you've
Oh,
had
dude.
within your whole business career.
And there's even more, but that's kind of like the important
Let's
stuff.
sum up. Yeah. So I want to get into, a lot of people want to start their own business. Personally, talking to business owners, there's a lot of overhead. There's a lot of different stuff that, when you go to school for this and you're like, yeah, I want to be a business owner. I'm going to go to school for business management, marketing, that kind of stuff. They're like, okay, I'm going to do this. So talking with these business owners, they have told me it
I've seen
is not for the weak. It is not for people who don't want to pursue it their all. And I'm like, that's a good point, So personally, being someone who wanted to get into business, now it's kind of shifted to where, all right, well, I'm good at numbers. I'm good at networking. I can find the money to invest into this business if it makes sense,
Sure.
right? If the numbers and everything makes sense, if it's a good business model, we have a plan that lists every detail. So for people who want to get into business, what does the process look like? How do you start it up? What kind of stuff do you have to have in your plan? What do you need? What does it look like starting your own business from, step 1 all the way to step 10?
Okay. Ooh, there's a lot in that question because there's so much stuff to learn in business, and I learned it the hard way. I had no one coach me on how to start a business, and I didn't really know anybody that had a business. I mean, my uncle Seuss had a business, but I didn't really ask him too many questions about how to start a business. Other than that, I didn't know anybody who I could reach out to and mentor me. I really wanted to reach out to other business owners.
Yeah.
Like kind of what you're doing, which is very ballsy, and it's awesome that you're doing that because you're getting out of your comfort zone. Even though you're doing these interviews, and when you did that first interview, you're probably nervous and
absolutely.
whatever. And now it gets easier. Now you're just yourself. You get a flow. So it was hard for me to do that. I was I was shy when it came to business and stuff like that, but I wasn't shy like my personality because I was so young. So I learned it the hard way. Went on Google, typed it up, went on YouTube, went to YouTube University, how to start an LLC. And basically, before you do any of that, I mean, I can tell, I can right here, right now, in the next 10 minutes, I can start a business. I can start a marketing agency right here, right now. But I don't know shit about building an agency and marketing. I mean, I know how to market like my products and my services, or I can start a vacuum business right here, right now. It's how fast it is to start a business. But if you don't know shit about the business, you're going to fail. So before you even think about starting a business, you got to make sure you're good at it. But you got to make sure not only are you good at it, but you got to make sure you're passionate about it.
Yes, that's a good point.
Are you able to do it without getting paid? So that's some terms you have to come to yourself, because if you're not seeing a paycheck and you're like, oh, if I own my own business, I'm gonna be rich one day, you don't understand all the lessons that fall between the lines of starting a business, where you are now and where you're going to be at when you're going to be successful. So if you're not good, passionate about the business that you want to start, so if you want to start a bakery and you don't know shit about baking, you're probably going to fail. That's why businesses fail in 3 years, less than 3 years.
I don't know the time frame.
Like the percentage, I think 90% of businesses fail within 3 years, because the structure and the person who started it either wasn't ready, or shit happens. People fail all the time. Business owners know everything about failure. But yeah, if you're not a good baker and you want to start a bakery, you're probably gonna fail because your product sucks and you're not passionate. So even if you are a good baker and you're not selling, and you just quit and you go get a job at Lowe's, you know what I mean? Because you're going to quit. You're not passionate. You're not willing to see it through all the failures and all the anxiety and the stress. So first, like I said, be passionate and be good at it. and then you have the confidence to start a business. And all you have to do is go to the Colorado Secretary of State, search up the business name that you want, and see if it's available. Because if somebody else has it, you can't take it. So you search up a name that you want, you buy the articles of organization, and they have like a whole step list on the different documents and articles you need to start a legit business. From there, you go to the irs.gov, you file for an EIN number, which that's kind of like your social security for your business. As we call it, an EIN number. And you need that for anything, like to start up a business bank account, all that good stuff, tax purposes. So after the EIN number, you should probably then you go down to Pueblo to I don't even know what the hell it's called, the tax building, retail tax building. And then you start up a business here in Pueblo. So you have to start another business because you started a business within Colorado, and then you got to start a business within Pueblo. So you go down there, you ask them for everything you need to start up a business in Pueblo. They're going to ask you for your EIN. Did you do everything with the state? And then you fill out all the paperwork in Pueblo, and then now you just start a business and you got to go make some money. That's that easy. It seems like a lot, but you just got to stay focused, and it's a couple paperwork, and I think in total it's probably about $200, just fees and shit.
Yeah, that's not a lot of money you're going to spend on this. A lot of people I've talked to, they told me you need to, if you're going to start a business, work in that industry.
Yes.
Get the experience.
Yes.
And then go start a business.
Yes.
Because you're not going to know anything about tax, payroll, all the expenses you're going to need to pay for all these assets that you need to run the business.
Yep.
Learn before you get into the business in that industry, so that way you can start a business in that industry.
100%. You got to see, I mean, you don't absolutely have to, but I would recommend that you already have some experience in the business that you want to start. So if you want to start a bakery or a detail shop, you should probably work for someone for a while and learn the ins and outs, and then eventually, if you want to venture off into your own, just make sure you do it the right way. Then you start a business, so you know kind of roughly what it takes, marketing, how that owner talks to customers, how he conducts business, you name it. You know, you got to see somebody else do it sometimes. I mean, I got to see my uncle do it, so I learned a lot from him. He didn't teach me the side of the business that's very valuable right now, but I did learn how to talk to people. He's a very people person. He's very charming. He's a chameleon. So I saw him talking to customers and how he makes them feel, and you know, that interaction, making people feel comfortable, being lively, and you know, that kind of thing. So I learned a lot in that aspect. So when I started my own business, I was like, I would remember how he talked to people, how he greeted people, how he would answer the phone. And it's kind of what I took with my business. So yeah, definitely find mentorship. If you want to speed up the process and not fail as much as me, seek out a mentor. You're still going to fail regardless, but it'll be a little bit quicker, a little bit more easier. Find a mentor, pay if you have to. Learn the ins and outs, and they'll tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly. Because everyone thinks starting a business is, you know, is all peaches and cream, and it's easy. And then, you know, you start a business and you're rolling up in a Porsche and you live in University Park, and it's not like that. Eventually you will.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of sacrifice, failure, and you learn a lot about yourself. It's a lot of, I think, entrepreneurship and owning your own business. It's more self-development than anything. Obviously, it's about your craft and what you're selling and business aspect, but you have to be a good person to succeed in business. If you think about it, people who have bad intentions, who don't have good morals and values, people who you can't trust, people that screw people over, and they have a bad reputation. If you think about it, their business is probably closed up.
Yeah.
Something happened along the line.
Yeah.
They screwed somebody over. And yeah, you got to be a good person in business.
You spoke a lot about failures in your business venture. What is the number one failure that you have experienced that you can give to the people watching to not only implement in their own business venture, but to implement in their life?
Um, there's so many failures. Holy cow. Um, I guess one of them is just about maybe like your craft, like what you're doing now, like what you want to do. You might not be good at it right now, but in time and through sacrifice and putting in the time and the learning on what you want to do, you will succeed eventually. But I would just really push that kind of delayed gratification because, at one point I wasn't the best at answering phones. Like it took a lot of courage for me to be like, "Hi, this is Andres with Rocky Mountain Dent and Detail." Like the first couple calls were a little, I don't know, just they didn't flow right. I was nervous, and then you eventually get good. So just I guess just failing and in learning. You know what I mean? You're gonna fail either way, and just get a good relationship with failure. And that took me a long time because my mentor now, I used to go to him when I used to fail, and he would like, once again, stop being a bitch. And I was like, why this and that? I'm not doing good. He goes, you're supposed to fail. And I was like, no, you're not. And he kind of spoke about failure and how, the faster you get a good relationship with failure, the faster you will succeed. Because when you fail at something, you get embarrassed. You get insecure. It destroys your confidence. But if you start wearing your failures on your like as a medal, like I had the balls to do this. I had the courage to start this business. I had the courage to start a podcast. And yeah, in the middle of it or in the beginning, I might look like a fool, but I don't look like a fool now when I have X amount of subscribers, because in the beginning I looked like a little dummy and I seemed kind of, scared or nervous or whatever. But in due time, your failures are going to be the things you look back on. You're like, wow, I'm no longer that person anymore.
It teaches you resilience. I saw
Being resilient. Yep.
not necessarily a quote, but I watched these videos on Instagram, YouTube, etc. And I think, I don't want to say it's by like Jocko Willink, but he's definitely one of the people who says you need to seek failure to be able to grow. If
Failure
you're
is
not
growth.
seeking failure, you're not living outside of your comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
And people like us, entrepreneurs, people just not only entrepreneurs, but people wanting to grow in their life have to seek failure
Mm-hmm.
to be able to grow.
Yeah. It's kind of like lifting, when you're lifting and you're doing a set, you don't do a couple reps and then you put it down. You can't grow. You're not going to grow muscle. You're not putting resistance on that muscle to expand and grow. So what do? We keep doing reps until failure, because that's where the growth starts happening. Same thing in life, man. Like you gotta, obviously don't fail. You have to have calculated failure. I mean,
Yeah.
if you do dumbass stuff and you're out here doing some crazy shit and you're failing that way, that's a personal problem. But if you're out here trying to do your best, you're doing everything you can and you're still finding some failure, that's part of the process. And if I can give anybody one word to be, not only in business but in life, is being persistent.
I agree.
The one movie that really moved me, and just to this day, if I feel down and out, or I need something to get me going because we have a slow period in business, I watch The Founder on Netflix. It's the movie about Ray Kroc,
Donald's owner.
McDonald's.
Yeah.
Yeah. So people don't understand that the owner, Ray Kroc, the CEO of McDonald's, that's not the true owner. The true owner was the McDonald's brothers. And there's a whole story about it, but that whole movie is about persistence and still pushing through when you have setbacks and failures, and you're doing everything you can to succeed and you're not getting anywhere, So he talks about persistence, and that's the only thing I can fall back on as a business owner and as a man, is being persistent as hell.
You have to be
You have to be
persistent,
gritty. You have to be gritty as hell.
especially as a man. That's
Yeah.
a character trait you need to have. And that's a great movie because the movie entitles a lot of things. If you haven't watched the movie, it's about obviously the founding of McDonald's, but the person who founded in the movie per se was selfish, and you got to be selfish in
Yeah.
business. You have to have some type of characteristic that is selfish about you
Yeah.
to be able to pursue this aggressively.
Ooh, yeah.
So I agree with you right there.
I'm labeled as selfish, and I am.
You have to
I
be.
gladly tell. I mean, I'm selfish to a point. I'm very giving. I'm very catering to the right people.
Hmm.
But if it comes between my goals and my success and my purpose, and if I'm labeled selfish because I don't want to do something, or I'm sacrificing not to go there and to put it into my business or whatever, and if that's labeled me as selfish, I am the most selfish person within reason. Obviously there's
Yes.
family. If you're a business owner, you're starting a business, just kind of plan on knowing that you're probably gonna have a hard time with relationships, like girlfriends, or
Absolutely.
if you're a girl with boyfriends, because you put so much time, energy, everything, your whole being into starting this business, and you do become selfish, and you can't be selfish in relationships. And I'm learning that now at 29 years old, is you can't be selfish. But when you first start out, you have to be all in. And
It's so hard.
if that means no girlfriends, if that means a breakup, if they're not on the same journey as you and they want to like pull you back from your business, your journey, your purpose, and they're not on the ship with you and they're holding you back, you gotta let them go.
I like how you said that.
Shout out to all the exes, dog.
all the exes.
Shout out to you guys.
Make or break us.
I appreciate you.
Exactly. They only teach you life lessons. I fortunately had a girlfriend at the time when I was working with you, and it taught me definitely a lot. At the time, I was putting more time and effort into that where it was going nowhere. So I should have at the time just been mature and was like, yeah, I got to focus on something that really matters.
Yeah.
But it all builds you and makes you learn lessons. But I love how you quoted all in, because you got to be all in to do this kind of stuff. Not a lot of people are going to relate to what you're doing. If you're doing this aggressively and you're telling someone who doesn't
Yeah.
understand your vision and your grind, they're not going to relate to it. Most people I talk to, coworkers, outside people, and I'm like, yeah, I'm, pursuing social media super aggressively, and this is what I've been doing because this is my goal. I want to monetize it. I want to
Sure.
make millions of dollars in the future.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, man, good for you, but you should probably stick to what you're doing right now, the 9 to 5. I'm like, guys, shut up. All right, keep your
Yeah.
mouth closed. I appreciate your feedback, but listen, I'm gonna take it with a grain of salt, kind of
Yeah.
thing.
100%. I've had people in my career, I had to let go because they said something regarding where I'm going out, and in my journey. I had a friend, and he was my barber at the time, and it just took one fucking remark that he told me when I started my business was how. So I told him my plan. I told him my business, what I'm gonna do, and he told me, "Well, how stable is that?" Like, gave me like this negative ass comment when I was venting to him, to maybe him to kind of, cheer me up, or, hey, that a boy, that's good. You should do that. Like, I'm really proud of you. He instantly went negative and said, "How stable is that long term?" I was like, you'll see.
You see people
Never got a haircut from him ever again. I see him out and about. It's always love. I forgive him. No big deal. But those are the things that I need when I'm at the shop at 1 a.m. and I need something to kind of grab onto to keep pushing through a job and get projects done when I don't want to do it or I don't feel like it. I play back all those things people used to tell me in high school. Friends from my 20s, even family members. You know what? Whatever you tell me, just know I hide that in the back of my mind. And when things get tough, I remember what you said. I can either prove you right or I can prove you wrong.
Yeah,
I'm going to prove your ass right. I mean,
wrong.
I
I
I'm going
agree.
to prove your ass wrong, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's such powerful words.
You
When
got to
you're-
be a fucking dog, bro.
You have to.
I was going to try to be, like, I guess, very proper and formal in this podcast, but that's just not who I am.
And that's okay. I
I
want the raw,
yeah,
authentic.
I
This
I,
is
I could cuss less, but this is my natural. This is the intensity when it comes to business. Like
yeah.
you got to be a dog. You got to have good values. You got to be a good person. You have to wear all these different hats to even taste a little bit of success.
Mm-hmm.
And even when you wear all these hats, you will still probably fail.
We're not on the not all in show. We're on
Yeah.
the all in show.
All the freaking man.
Where this is raw talk, raw conversation, real conversation, authenticity.
People are
Where
Business
you-
owners are crazy. Go ask any business owner
Absolutely.
after their formal mask is off, and they're like, no, they're fucking crazy. We are all
Yeah.
crazy. Last night I met with the owner of a chiropractor business down the street from me. We just got done doing his car, and he swung by the shop at 7:30, 8 o'clock. Our hours are from 9 to 5. And he goes, "Damn, you're still here?" And I was like, "You know how it is, boss?" And he goes, "Yeah, we're fucking crazy." Because he owns his own business too. He goes, "Oh yeah, that's just part of the game." He goes, "That's awesome, dude. I'm glad I'm glad to see you out here still. I work Monday through Sunday. All the time.
Yeah.
And that's just it's the way of life. You got to be a little crazy."
You have to be. With being on the grind until 1 a.m. for a period of being 17 all the way up to 29, now owning your business and going through many rebrands, what is the single most amount of money you have made in a given year with your industry?
Almost $1 million.
That's crazy.
Almost $1 million.
Is that all through hail damage?
No, that's all services. That's all services. Making money. Yeah, we made 612.
That's awesome. What is your, if that's what you made within a single most given year, I don't even want to say 5 years. What is your 3-year plan? What is your 3-year goal as far as financially to be able to make where you're like, wow, I'm a millionaire now?
Well, I think the old me would answer that differently because we're so stuck on a number. You know what I mean? We're stuck. Oh, if I make $1 million, if my business makes $1 million, you can still make $1 million in business and still be broke. You know what I mean? So now that I'm older, it's not how much you make; it's what you keep. So a lot of people are caught up on that number of what they make, and oh, my business makes $1 million. It's like, okay, well, how profitable are you?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because you could have a business and not be profitable. I don't know what the percentage is in the United States, but most businesses are not profitable. So
What do
if
you
you're
want to take home in the next 5 years?
if I can get to shit, like I said, I don't know how to answer that right now. Obviously, the old me would have been like, oh, because I do well, okay, and I don't really want to push how much I make because I just don't want to be. I don't want people taking anything that I say and saying, "Oh my God, he makes this much," and then people treat me differently. You know what I mean? So, I'm very humble. I don't want to talk about really how much we make. We do very well. We're very blessed. I give a lot. I wouldn't say a philanthropist, but I give any way I possibly can. I'm not really dead set on how much I take home or how much the business makes. I'm more worried about how we can sustain the business and how we can get jobs done, and just being successful in business and staying profitable, keeping debt low, and then eventually investing in a real estate and kind of being able to walk away and retire at an early age.
Yeah.
I don't know what that number is. I just know if I keep doing what I've been doing now in this journey of 9 years, if I keep progressing and I don't ruin the good things that I have going on, I think I can make that happen. I thought I'd have 5 rental properties by now, but I don't. Obviously the market's changed and, a couple failures in between that. But that's okay. That wasn't God's plan. It wasn't on his timing. I have a lot of money invested in other places. like the stock market, life insurance policies, cryptocurrency. So I have money put away to go work for me. So one day I can retire. Real estate wise, I need to brush up on learning that. And as you fail in business, failing financially a little bit comes along with fucking up your credit score.
Yeah.
So I've always had an amazing credit score my whole life. Well, since I was 18. But when I moved to Florida, I was so stubborn to not give up that I put everything on credit cards. I got a line of credit from a credit bureau in Florida. I went through all my personal credit cards and I drowned myself in credit card debt. About 25,000, 30,000 in credit card debt. So I bounced back. They're all paid off. God bless. But I was supposed to have my dream house by now, but I had to go learn lessons. And if it was for those lessons, I'm all about moving slow now. A slow but a for show, as Pitbull says.
Yeah,
The
absolutely.
rapper. I know a lot of people. I'm not going to mention any names, but I have people that get into this first time home buyer shit. And if you look down the amortization schedule and how much you're putting down on the principal of your home, it's very little. And you start paying off your house in like year 7 or 8, because all your money goes towards interest because you have no money down, right? You want to get into a first time home buyer, which is great for a lot of people. But my mentor showed me a lot of crazy shit because he was in the industry, and he was like, yeah, it's not all what it's summed up to be if you want to be on the plus side of real estate. So if you have a bunch of people doing these first time home buyers and they put on Instagram and Facebook and, wow, look at me, I'm successful and have a really good job. It's like, you're probably negative now. You know what I mean? Or you'll never pay your house off, or you will, but it's going to be in 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm more worried about getting down to $0 in debt and then putting an insane amount of money on a house and waiting for it at the right time. It's for me. It's not for everybody else that's viewing my success.
Mm-hmm.
So
You have a lot of good experience to give to people watching, and you have given grace to God
yeah.
in this interview quite a bit. Why is it you give grace to God with your whole business venture?
So I always had a good relationship with God, I would say. I'm a sinner. I make mistakes. I still do it to this
We
day.
all are.
But he's granted me a lot of grace, and the days that I failed and the days I needed something other than someone to talk to, like a family member or a friend, it was like, business is very spiritual, I believe, even if, some people who don't believe in God, but when everything's burning around you in business and everything's not going right, you can only really fall back on your faith. And I got really into my faith after the Florida experience because everything went to shit. And you can only call so many friends, you can only call so many family members to help you. But I really kind of went back on my faith and put 10 toes down on it and got close to God even more and made a couple deals with him to get back my life here in Pueblo. So he has just given me everything I've ever asked for. He's given me everything that I asked for when I was 17. And I started this journey. I have it on a notebook. I said I wanted to do this. I wanted to do that. It's going to look like this. I'm going to offer multiple services. I'm going to make this amount. And I've done everything except own a home.
People can relate to God a lot. They give God a lot of grace. Personally, my relationship with God is very, it's like a roller coaster. I'm either seeking him at one point or another point I haven't been seeking him at all. I know he's there. I know there's a higher power of something somewhere, but it's just the thought of like, is there something like that out there that is controlling everything and giving us grace no matter
Sure.
what? So my relationship has been, it's been a roller coaster because my beliefs don't align with the typical Christian, Catholic, Mormon belief.
I'm that same way. So you probably think, a lot of people think like, oh, if, I'm worthy of God if I go to church. I'm worthy of God, and I'm walking the right steps with God if I read my Bible and I pray this amount of many times, and I show up to church and I act like I'm Mrs. Perfect or Mr. Perfect because I'm going to church because that's what you're supposed to do. I have a different view of that, and I think that's what might help you. Is it's not on a lot of the things that you do. It's just a relationship with God. It's it's a simple thing. Like at the end of this podcast, I think we had a great time. I think you asked a lot of good questions. You're doing really good with what you got going on. It's a simple thank you. It's saying thank you, God, for letting this podcast go really well. You blessed me of asking the right questions at the right time. It was fun. It was comfortable. It was like we talk normally. You know what I mean? It's a simple acknowledging that God is there and you appreciate him and you're grateful whatever he gives you next. I've kind of just stood on that. I prayed every night for what I have. I'm lucky to have my health. I'm lucky to have such amazing people in my life. I have four just solid ass friends who would probably die for me. I have my family is amazing. I have a healthy daughter. Business is great. Um, I've done some bad shit. You know what I mean? Not terrible. I haven't killed anybody, but um, but God's given me a lot of grace, and I think that's because I've always given a lot of appreciation and being grateful for what I have, and also being grateful what He's already sending me.
I like that perspective. That's powerful. I'm
Almost
gonna,
acting as if it already happened. I mean, that kind of goes into it's called The Secret. I don't know if you heard that, the law of attraction. Kind of like what you think kind of comes to you in the world and what you attract. So I'm a heavy believer on what you think and about yourself, visualizing what you want to do in life and believing it to 100% and kind of being delusional about it. It happens. It's a big thing. Conor McGregor talks about it. People who want to help themselves mentally, I would get into the book called The Secret and read that.
yeah,
It'll make you think differently.
you have to be so consumed. And I like the way you put it. Just give him grace. Just saying thank you at the end of the day,
Yeah.
no matter what it is.
And then before you know it, you never know. Someone might hit you up tonight and be like, hey, bro, that interview went great. I'd like to be on your podcast. Could it be all the content you're putting out? Probably. Could it be that you gave God some appreciation and being grateful, and then now you have 3 people at the end of at the end of next month that want to get on, and your podcast is taking off, and opportunities are just fucking flying your way? Could it be because of all this effort? Probably. Could it be God? Probably. But you might as well double down on both.
Yeah, I like that. I like you got to double down no matter what you're
Double
doing.
down, dude.
You have to double down. I love doubling down on whatever I'm doing now consistently, whether it be content, gambling. Yeah, I mean, you got to double down on gambling, right? If you're doing good.
I just uninstalled my Fanatics app.
Oh, I'm talking about the tables.
That's even worse. I can't gamble. I can't sports bet. I can't gamble. I'm good at my career. I'm good at being a good friend, a good dad, but gambling, horrible.
It's
You will
so
lose with me.
fun though.
It is.
You won't
Especially
lose with me. I was doing good,
craps, bro.
and then I like blackjack.
See, I can't count that fast. So blackjack is way too fast for me.
Yeah, but one day I'll learn how to count cards, and then I'll be like, all right, I'm gonna hit, I'm gonna stay,
Nice.
I'm gonna double down, I'm gonna split these guys.
Damn, yeah.
But I gotta do it nonchalantly. My grandpa, R.I.P. He just passed away.
Man, sorry about that.
It's okay. He set a very good image for his family. He was such a family man, loved his family. Any chance he got, he would give you, money nonchalantly like it was
Yeah.
a drug deal. And I was like,
That's how my
okay.
grandpa was too, yeah.
It was awesome. I loved him. It's funny story. Last time we actually had a good interaction where he was like standing, walking upright and well, not very, I guess, well, but he was standing and upright. We were in a bedroom. My grandma was laying down. She was like, "Hey, Terry, come in the room. Xander's here." So he
Yeah.
comes into the room, and I thought he was going for a hug. So we go in for a hug. He shakes my hand. Next thing you know, there's a $20 in my hand, and my grandma has no clue
Damn.
what's going on. I started laughing. I'm like, that's so grandpa right there,
Yeah. Shout out to grandpas, bro.
Yeah.
They always make sure you have 5-10 bucks on you.
Yeah, yeah, it's awesome. How's your little baby doing?
She's doing really good, bro. She's 10 months, gonna be 11 months, and everything's going really well. Went through a lot of learning, that's for sure. A little bit of trials and tribulations, but
Yeah.
I feel like I became a better man for sure from it. But yeah, she's healthy. She looks just like me. She has my temper. She has my mannerisms.
Mm-hmm.
Mannerisms. I don't fucking know.
Mannerisms.
Mannerisms. She's healthy. She's stocky. Yeah, I'm just kind of trying to find that balance between being a father, running a business,
For sure.
being a good boyfriend. I'm just
Yeah.
kind of juggling because
You're wearing multiple hats.
so many hats, man, and yeah, it's pretty exhausting, but I'm living out my dream, so I got to give I got to be grateful for
Yeah.
where I'm at, because if I would have seen myself where I'm at now when I was 17, I would probably cry.
I hear ya. One last question before we end it out. So now being a family man, having a kid brings a lot more responsibility onto the plate. So as a business owner, as someone, who makes a living off of their business, how has your mindset changed now having a family? Do you feel like now, I have no other option besides to make it because I got to provide for my family now?
That's a good question. For me, a lot of other people are going to answer differently, but for me, nothing changed because I put so much pressure on myself at a young age to succeed and become the person I wanted to be today, and having no plan B and just kind of having that like urgency behind where I want to go and how I'm going to do it. I put so much pressure and tension, and I probably judge myself. I know I judge myself more and harder than anybody else. So I put so much pressure on myself at an early age and kind of built up that calloused toughness and that pressure and that anxiety. So I've kind of already went through that in my phase. Obviously there's still, we're still human. I still get intimidated here and there, or, you know what I mean? But I just know will always get better if you do the right thing and you show up for your customers and stuff. God will always bless you if you do the right thing. But after having a family, I didn't really feel any more pressure, really. It was more so of I need to change as a person. I guess some people would label me as a hothead. Whatever. I feel like everybody can be a hothead if you press someone's buttons,
Mm-hmm.
or you disrespect them, or you do something bad to somebody.
Yeah.
Anybody can be a hothead. So I really want to prove people wrong about that. It's very hard because I grew up in a tough family, so we automatically want to go to violence, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think for me, the hardest part in being a family man is being more selfless, being more patient, because I have horrible patience. Even in business, like I'll be calling people and calling insurance companies, and if it's not here right now, then you better have it tomorrow. And if it's not tomorrow, it better be this week. Like there's always urgency by everything I've done in business, even in life. Like if I'm waiting too long at Chipotle, I'll leave. Like I don't give a shit. Like I'm all about speed. So now that I have a daughter, I have to just relax, be in the moment, put your phone down, get on the floor, play with them, rock them to sleep, feed them, change the diaper. So that's been more of a transition than the pressure to, I guess, be successful and pay the bills and making sure you have money. Because money always comes. It always goes also. But like I said, God always provides somehow, some way. I have a good family. I have good friends. I have phenomenal connections. So even if things go south, I will always pick myself up because I've already failed enough. So just changing Andres and changing him for the better is probably the hardest thing, and slowing down and being selfless.
Yeah. Throughout years, you're going to go through different phases and you're going to learn.
Yeah.
That's all it's about.
Yep. It's all about movement, bro. If you don't move, if you don't take action, you won't fail, and then you won't learn. So everyone that has this grandiose idea and telling people what they're gonna do, and I have this business and I have this idea or this invention and I'm gonna be doing this, and you haven't even took the steps to even fail yet, it's all just bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people out there like that. They tell you what they're gonna do. They have this big old spiel on what's gonna happen, and then they don't do shit about it. So everything's action.
Yeah,
Even if you have to fail and embarrass yourself.
absolutely. With that being said, Chipotle, hurry the fuck up. You're slacking. You're fucking slacking, guys.
Hurry that shit up, dude.
All right, Qdoba is honestly where it's at, but
So I
I'm
haven't even
biased.
went yet. I need to
Qdoba
go.
is so fucking fire. They at least have the honey Chipotle, the honey. They have that fucking spicy honey chicken, whereas Chipotle does it seasonally. Fucking Chipotle. I want that shit on my food every time. I don't want
They
no
do have
generic.
chimichurri now, though. That shit's pretty good.
I don't like chili or the chimi, like whatever
The
it
tree
is.
of the chimney.
Yeah, I don't fuck with it. I just like the basic shit.
Damn
Give me
white
some
people,
protein. Yeah, dog. I don't want no bell peppers or fucking some elote or fucking
not even
cilantro on that
chimichurri.
shit. All right, give me some goddamn. Give me the protein. Give me the beans, the rice. Put a little fucking salsa on that. Put a little fucking queso cheese. Send me on my way. All right, but Qdoba, gotta try it out.
Fuck yeah.
Hell yeah.
Thanks for having me on, brother.
You're welcome. With that being said, this has been the All In Show. My name is Xander. This is Andres Acuna. Where can they find you at? Where can they get services from you?
The best way to contact us is if you need dent repair or hail repair or detailing, give me a call or text 719-242-5426. If you need tires or custom wheels, call my Uncle Eddie, 719-671-0646. Or you can find us on Google, social media, RM Auto Pros, both Instagram, Facebook. 4055 Club Manor Drive, Unit 110-170.
That's right. Go ahead and subscribe on YouTube for more content like this, more podcasts, shorts, all the above. You can find me on Instagram, The All In Show. That's everywhere besides Facebook. Haven't changed that because Facebook is like, you can't change your name within 60 days. I'm like, all right. So Facebook, The All In Podcast, everywhere else, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, The All In Show. Photography, still on Instagram, allinvisuals.media. Check it
Shout
out.
out to the studio.
Street Champs. Yes, sir. Subscribe everywhere. Fire content coming out. You won't want to miss it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for the next one. Peace.